I'd like to welcome everybody here, and let us begin with opening prayer. Please let us stand. Then, living Father, you have given us much knowledge, much information, and we know that people are perishing around the world for lack of knowledge. Lord, we pray that we may not only be willing to receive the knowledge that we hear today, but to apply it so that we will be benefited as a result. In your name, amen. Amen.
Happy Sabbath, everyone, and welcome back to our AYS service this evening. Today we'll be exploring two topics that have been affecting men and women for time immemorial, and those topics are menopause and andropause. Now, every year in the UK, women are affected by menopause and perimenopausal symptoms, and actually at least 1/3 of all women in the UK will be experiencing these symptoms. And as for men, we know that andropause is the equivalent to menopause, and about 10 to 15% of men will experience andropause or menopause symptoms. And it's my wish that this evening we'll be able to explore all the issues relating to menopause and andropause so that we can better understand these processes. And today we have Dr. Joan Cornwall, who is a naturopathic doctor who will be sharing with us today all about menopause. And we all know Dr. Cornwall. She's been with us, she's trained us many, many times, and she's helped us to develop our health ministries, as well as she's helped us to train our medical missionaries. So at this time, before Dr. Cornwall comes, we'll be having our song service.
It's time for us to sing, and I believe we are not tired yet, and we can sing rousingly. So we're going to start with number 251, He Lives. Why are we not smiling? Let's smile. I serve a risen Savior, He's in the world today. I know that He is living, whatever man may say. I see His hand of mercy, I hear His voice of cheer. And just the time I need Him is always there. He lives, He lives. Christ Jesus lives today. He walks with me and talks with me along life's narrow way. He lives, salvation to impart. You ask me how I know He lives. He lives within my heart. In all the world around me, I see His loving care. And though my heart grows weary, I never will despair. I know that He is leading through all the stormy blasts. The day of His appearing will come at last. He lives, Christ Jesus lives today. He walks with me and talks with me along life's narrow way. He lives, salvation to impart. You ask me how I know He lives. He lives within my heart. Rejoice, rejoice, O Christian, lift up your voice and sing. Eternal hallelujah to Jesus Christ the King, the hope of all who seek Him, the help of all who find. None other is so loving, so good and kind. He lives, Christ Jesus lives today. He walks with me and talks with me along life's narrow way. He lives, salvation to impart. You ask me how I know He lives. He lives within my heart. Amen. We sing the next one from number 286. Sing them over again to me, wonderful words of life. Let me more of their beauty see, wonderful words of life. Words of life and beauty, teach me faith and beauty. Beautiful words, wonderful words, wonderful words of life. Beautiful words, wonderful words, wonderful words of life. Christ the Blessed One gives to all wonderful words of life. Sinner is to the loving God, wonderful words of life. Oh,
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I'm just here to read your scripture verse for you this evening. And it's taken from Genesis 1, verse 29 and 30. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. And verse 30, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. Here in the word of God. Amen.
At this time, we'll invite Dr. Joan Cornwall to come and share with us her presentation on menopause. Dr. Cornwall.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, I should say. So the AY program is about the female menopause and the male menopause. And of course, many people didn't realize there was a male menopause. And we've heard many presentations about the menopause, have we not, ladies? So if you've heard many, why are you here? So what I'd like to do is to share some information with you. And yes, I'm of an age that is going through the menopause. I am not ashamed to say that. Married to my husband, Errol, for 37 years. So he married me at the age of 25. And many years along the way, I'm not 25 anymore. Let's face it. We go through a lot of transition, don't we, ladies? And as we grow older, we lose a lot of minerals. Our body changes, our mind changes, and we change spiritually as well. So, okay, I'll do it this way. That's it, yeah. So what does it say, ladies? We are what? We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Amen. Don't those ladies look beautiful? I want to see you smiling like that as we go through this. All right. So, from birth to, yes, I've said it, to the grave. It's inevitable, isn't it? We are not to live forever. It's everything that happens in between, from birth to when we get aged and we go to sleep. That is where we are most affected. It's those in-between periods of time. And so there are phases of a woman's life. So we are conceived. And so, whatever chromosomes we have, it determines whether we're male or female. We then go through infancy, childhood. We go through puberty when there's a hormone spurt. Then we have the reproductive age, and for some of us, we have children. And then we go through the perimenopause, which is our bodies preparing to go through the menopause, which is about 35 years old upwards. And then we go through the menopause, and then we have postmenopause. Aren't we busy? God made us to be so busy. Can you imagine that? Look at all those stages that we go through as a woman. And of course, like I said before, what we had when we were babies, we start to deteriorate as we go through life. However, there is a way to continue to make sure we are taking in the right minerals, the right food, and conditions to make sure that we ease through our later stages of life. So there it is. Conception is gender determined. Infancy or childhood is just general growth. Puberty, there's a hormonal spurt. And I must say that when you have if you have children, male and or female, you have to make sure that they have enough minerals, because they will have growth spurts and they will be using up more minerals So for the males and the females, it has to be calcium, it has to be potassium, it has to be magnesium, it has to be vitamin D. It has to be those minerals. And, you know, your reproductive age, your body's preparing for reproduction. Perimenopause is when a woman is winding down. I've spoken to some 35-year-old females, and they says, I'm already going through perimenopause. Can you imagine? 35 years old. That's about the average. Some of you are shocked, but actually, a woman will start to go through perimenopause between 35 to 50 years old. And then there's the menopause, which is hormonal withdrawal. So the hormones that we had when we were teenagers, we certainly don't have them when we get to the menopause age. We start to reduce our hormones. It happens naturally. And then there's post-menopause, non-productive age, unless you're Sarah. So, did you know that in October 2024, the Labour government passed an employment rights bill, which includes new legislation on enhanced workplace support for menopausal women? Did you know that? They're now thinking about us. We're not crazy at work anymore. They recognize that women going through the menopause will experience some symptoms. Some of them are so debilitating. Can you imagine if they're the managers of men? Can you imagine that? Woman. Oh, there she goes again. But actually, they've realized it's real. Even in government offices, they've realized that women go through some very serious symptoms. Husbands, where are you? Your wives go through some serious symptoms, you know. The men have gone very quiet. They're just looking at me smiling. Oh. But women do. And it's about supporting them. I see a hand at the back. Oh, sorry, can we get a... Oh, 1 minute, my dear, 1 minute. I want everyone to hear it because we are live streaming as well. Your mic's not on.
What I'm wanting to say is that all the different stages that women go through in this environment cannot be seen in isolation of the toxins that we are consuming, breathing, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, we have to ask ourselves, for example, when we get to the perimenopause or the menopausal stage, what is it? Is it the real menopause, or is it the accumulations of toxins that are creating symptoms that we may not necessarily have had as we're going through the menopause?
Okay, that's a good point, and we are going to touch on.
I say that because, for example, myself, I have mercury fillings in my mouth, and mercury is a poison. In America, when a dentist removed mercury from your mouth, they put it in 3 containers, one inside the other.
Okay, so what we're going to do then, that is a discussion point for another presentation, because there is a lot of talk about mercury fillings, etc., and the way it affects a woman's body. So thank you very much for that. So what the government wants to do is this legislation will become legal in 2026. And what it means is the government agencies, organizations right across the United Kingdom will have to make the working environment sensible for women going through the menopause. Cooling systems, fans, all of those things, and understand the pressure that they're under with the symptoms, and also they want to give them flexible working hours, and also quiet rooms is what they call them. They want to give them quiet rooms. So that's what is in the pipeline for females going through the menopause at work. I remember one time I was in a meeting, and there was a mixture of male, female. And at the start of my menopause journey, for want of a better word, I started sweating. So I took my jacket off, but I was still sweating. The window was open. Sweat was just pouring down my face. And a lovely gentleman leaned over and he said, "Would you like me to get the fan?" And I said, "Yes, please." And I thought, how understanding is he? How understanding is he? And he got the fan, faced it towards me. Wonderful. So some men do understand, especially those who are married or have a mother going through it, I should say. Oh. Okay, good. Did someone say they had a question? No? Good. What I'd like to understand, it's important for ladies, please, ladies, please try to understand that the journey you're going through is natural. It is. You need to know what you can do at each stage of your journey so that you move through it gracefully. Have you ever heard of the term, "we grow old gracefully"? That's what we want to do. We want to grow old gracefully. Accept the fact that we're growing from young to mature to old elderly. Please embrace that. So, at every stage, you change anatomically and physiologically. Like I said at the beginning, you change physically, you change mentally, you change emotionally, you change socially, and you also change spiritually. Okay, so, you know, let's face it, you're not going to go into teenage, start going to teenage parties just so you can hold back, being grown old. You're not going to start, running around in miniskirts and stuff like that, are you? You change. Your concept changes. Your mind changes. You start to mentally prepare for that next stage in your life. So, what is the menopause? What is the menopause? Come on, ladies. What is the menopause? Hormonal changes, somebody said?
It still produces hormones, but at lower levels. The reduced levels of hormones causes symptoms such as hot flushes, night sweats, and vaginal dryness. The foods we choose to consume can minimize these symptoms. And not only the foods, but also things like saunas and stuff like that.
Thank you.
To do with sweating, etc.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Delroy. Okay, lovely. So, that is the menopause. Menopause. A pause in your menstrual cycle. It is natural. It isn't a medical condition. It can be treated naturally. Okay? You can go through it using natural interventions, change your lifestyle. So, we know that a woman naturally goes through the menopause once they reach a certain age, your hormone levels drop. But do you know that menopause can also result from hysterectomy? So those ladies who have removed their womb, all of it, you will go through the menopause, and it's drastic. So the menopause is normally, it goes in stages, doesn't it? Over a number of years, possibly 12 years. And I just have to say, there is there is maybe bad news, good news. Women will never stop going through the menopause. Did you know that? Some of you look shocked. 1 minute, I'll take questions at the end, my dear. Yeah. 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 Can I just say I'll take the comments and the questions at the end. Thank you so much for your input. But in the interest of time, let me just go through the slides, and then we're going to start to take questions and answers. I believe there's going to be a breakout session also for the ladies if we have time. So yeah, so you will go through a drastic change. It's instant if you have a hysterectomy. Also, chemotherapy and radiation. Some ladies who might be going through chemotherapy, they've got certain cancers, and they're going through chemotherapy or radiation, then what they do, some of them want to save their eggs until they go through the chemotherapy and radiation, and then if they're at that age, they can actually have babies. And then you've got something called primary ovarian insufficiency, and also there's something called PCOS. And if you have ovarian insufficiency, it just means that you are not producing enough hormones to make babies. Do you know there are as many as 34 different symptoms, ladies? 34 different symptoms. Anxiety. You've got anxiety. Okay? Difficulty concentrating. You've got weight gain, depression, panic disorder. Constipation is another one. Hot flushes. Vaginal dryness was mentioned. How many of us have suffered some of those things? I certainly have. Heart palpitation. I'm not taking any more questions until afterwards, my dear. Thank you. So we will go through all of these. Headaches. Something called burning mouth. Burning mouth. Who has suffered that? Fatigue. Gum problems. Body odor. Osteoporosis. That's a biggie for us ladies. If you are not taking or absorbing enough calcium, you are going to suffer from osteoporosis, which is why I said it is important that we keep our mineral levels up by supplementation or the foods we eat. It's very important. Even exercise is important. So all of these, as many as 34 different symptoms, and many of these, some women get scared. But there's a good reason to. But this is what happens to our body when we're going through the menopause. Now, this is a more serious one that I need to talk to you about. After the menopause, your risk of certain medical conditions increases. Ladies, it's so important that you listen to this bit, because I know many ladies that have had heart attacks at 40, 45. They've ended up in the hospital with a heart attack, a very serious heart attack, simply because your estrogen level falls to the point where your heart is no longer protected. And it is the estrogen that we lose when we go through the menopause and when we're going through the menopause. The previous slide, there's one thing that many women suffer from: hair loss. Hair loss. Estrogen grows hair. Estrogen grows skin. Estrogen grows bones. Yeah? Many of you are looking very serious, but it's true. So when you're losing estrogen that protects your heart, you are at a higher risk of heart attack, developing a heart attack, having heart palpitations, suffering angina, those kind of things, losing your hair. Your skin starts to discolor. So there you go, heart and blood vessel cardiovascular disease. Many women will end up in A&E, the emergency room, and they go to see the clinicians, and the clinicians will take blood tests. They probably hook them up to a monitor just to see what's happening. Sometimes it's not detectable. Sometimes it's not detectable. It's important for you to make sure you've got enough estrogen in your body, vitamin D, potassium, magnesium, and I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do where you can get those naturally. All right? So look after your heart. Protect your heart. When your estrogen levels decline, your risk of cardiovascular disease increases. And so there are ladies that says, but Joan, I'm only this age. How on earth did I get a heart attack? When they go to the doctor, maybe the doctor takes their levels of estrogen and progesterone, and they'll realize that their estrogen levels are very low. So ladies, I'm telling you, go to your GP, find out what your estrogen levels are. I'm going to put it up on the screen, some of the tests that you should be doing so that your doctor can check what your estrogen levels are, all right? And the younger women among us, if you are at the age of 35, you should do that test as well, because they'll tell you if you are perimenopause, you are premenopause, because they can tell according to your FSH levels. Osteoporosis is another one. Your bones become porous because you do not have enough calcium. Get your calcium. I'm not telling you to get calcium from cow's milk, because cow's milk does the reverse. It pulls calcium from your bones, if you didn't know that. So you can get calcium from leafy green vegetables. I'll show the slides later on. You can get your calcium in other ways, but your bones become porous. I know ladies, they just trip on the pavement, they've broken their ankle, shattered their ankle, broken their leg, they've fallen, broken their arm, broken their shoulder, and these are real. I know ladies that has happened to, simply because we think we're just going through, breezing through, no need of supplementation, no need of changing my lifestyle, nothing like that, and you think that'll be fine until you fall, you break your leg, you're thinking, why on earth have I broken my leg? And then it's very difficult for it to heal. There's a lady who's 65 years old, fit as a fiddle, running track, running field. And what happened to her? She just fell in her home. She broke her hip. She's never been the same. Never been the same. So osteoporosis. So your heart, your bones, urinary incontinence. Many of us, we refuse to drink water when we're traveling because we don't want to keep stopping off to pee. Am I right, ladies? The men, they can literally do it anywhere. No, it's true. They can just go behind the bush. They can carry a buckle. We can't. It's true. And so urinary incontinence, many of us say, I don't want to be drinking too much water because I know I'm going to have to stop, do a rest stop, etc. But you will lose elasticity. You'll lose elasticity, and that's what happens. That's why pelvic floor exercises are important. How do you do pelvic floor exercises? Anybody? You squeeze, exactly. You pee in, you hold it for a few seconds, you let go of the urine. That's what you do. I hope I'm not getting too personal in here. Come on. God made us. So that's how you strengthen your pelvic floor exercises so you don't have to go through that urge incontinence. You laugh, you lose a bit of water. All right? So you have to make sure that you do your exercises at home. Okay, how many of us, what about weight gain? How many of us have more weight than we did when we were teenagers? That's part of it. You will gain weight. Do you know why we gain weight? Because our metabolism slows down when we go into the menopause. Gone are the days when you could eat 3-4 meals and you could still run around skinny, light. It's impossible. So weight gain is one of the issues when it comes to going through the menopause. So what do you do? What do you do? You're gaining weight. What can you do? You eat less and you exercise more. That's what you do. You eat less and you exercise more. That is important. I know a lady who is 70. She's about 72 years old. She has a gym membership. You should see her. She looks amazing. She has a gym membership. She's at the gym. She's exercising. You don't have to have a gym membership. You could walk around the block, go for walks after your meal. 72. Yeah, she looks good. No, she looks good. She has a gym membership. So there's nothing, exercise is actually one of the 8 laws of health, is it not? And nutrition. I mean, I'm really talking about nutrition, exercise, all those wonderful things. Eat less, exercise more. As we get older, we should not be carrying extra weight, especially around our stomach. Try to reduce the amount of weight that we have, especially around our stomach, because it means you have fat around your organs. So weight gain. Weight gain is inevitable as you get older. Eat less, 2 meals a day. Very good. How many is on a 2-meal-a-day plan? Not everybody. 2-meal-a-day plan works. It works. You eat a hearty breakfast. Eat a hearty breakfast. I know some people are laughing, but you know something, it's serious. It is. Eat less, exercise more, because you don't want to be carrying more weight than you need to. 2 meals a day, a hearty breakfast, full of the good things, and then you have lunch about 4 to 5 hours later, and then you can have a very, very light meal in the evening. That will help you to sustain your weight because your metabolism slows down, and what you could consume back in the day, it's impossible for your body to cope with that. Okay, thank you. So, conventional approaches to the menopause. Like I said before, menopause, perimenopause is a natural stage of life. It is not a disease. It is not a disorder. Therefore, it does not in of itself require medical intervention. It just needs lifestyle modification, lifestyle changes. There's something called hormone therapy. How many of us have heard of that? There is something called HRT, hormone replacement therapy. So, estrogen therapy is the most effective treatment option for relieving menopausal hot flashes. Depending on your personal and family medical history, your doctor may recommend estrogen in the lowest dose and the shortest time frame needed. Did you know that hormone therapy, HRT, they are now saying can cause breast cancer? How many of you heard that? So when I had menopausal symptoms and I went to the doctor, I remember when she ran tests on me, and she said to me, okay, Joan, I can put you on HRT. And I says, no, thanks. She says, oh, why not? It's one of the best things out there. And I said to her, I would rather tackle it from a natural point of view. And I have. No HRT, ladies. You don't need that. Seriously. You don't need the HRT because, like I said before, the menopause is a natural condition. It's not a medical condition. Doesn't need medical intervention at all. And I'm going to tell you why shortly. They also have something called vaginal estrogen for those ladies who would like to take that. But again, it's still a form of HRT, directly applied. Low-dose depressants. Ladies, there are some of us that suffer from depression, going through the menopause. Did you know that? A lot of the happy hormones have reduced. Remember I told you about the hormone depletion? And so some ladies get depressed. This is a reality. Some people have to take, some ladies I should say, have to be on low-dose antidepressants because of the symptoms that they're going through. They're more tearful. They're more ratty. They're more impatient. They can't cope with it, but all it is mineral deficiency. It's just mineral deficiency. There's nothing psychological going on. It's just pure mineral deficiency. That is why it's important for us to maintain the mineral levels in our body. When the sun is shining, get out in the sun. Absorb as much vitamin D as possible, or get vitamin D supplementation. Better to get it the natural way, but vitamin D is excellent when you want to absorb calcium, the two together. Vitamin D and calcium, superb. So if you can get vitamin D supplementation along with calcium, it helps, and it will help to strengthen your bones. And then they give you medications to prevent osteoporosis, and many of these contain vitamin D, and like I said, just take the vitamin D supplements, all right? So like I said before, we have the perimenopause, and these are ladies going through the perimenopause. What needs to be achieved? A comfortable transition into menopause. 35-year-old woman, she's maybe started having her children later on, all right? And then she finds that she'll start to go into perimenopause at the age of 35. Can be a bit of a shock for them. Like I said, I've spoken to some young ladies at the age of 35. Some aren't even married yet. Limit uncomfortable symptoms, hot flushes, mood swings, and sleep disturbances. Acceptance of end of reproductive phase of life, and self-management. That is what is needed. They have to start accepting that they're getting older. All of us, male or female, we have to accept the fact that we're actually getting older. So how do we deal with it? You have vulnerabilities. Yeah? Sometimes you feel as if you're worthless as you get older. What use do I have? All right? I can't make babies anymore. The body's changing, they're gaining more weight. Stress of overworking. Mental challenges. Digestive disorders. That's a biggie for ladies. Digestive disorders. Perimenopause requirements, understanding of the changes happening. Have a positive attitude with regards to that. Eat nourishing foods, calcium-rich foods, broccoli and legumes, iron-rich foods, green leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds, healthy fats like olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, whole grains for high fiber, plant estrogens, okay? Probiotic-rich foods, raw fruits, vegetables, Avoid spicy foods and refined sugars, caffeine and alcohol, and drink plenty of water, sunlight, regular exercise. What does that sound like? New Start. 8 laws of health. Pastor, in his sermon this morning, was talking about the fact that God created our body in such a way that our body is made to take in all of that. That was the original food, was it not? That is what helps ladies transition nicely through the menopause. Husbands, you'll be preparing some of that for your wives as well. Those who are married, support one another. As Dr. Jason will be coming to talk about the male menopause. Those of you who are married, support one another through it.
What do you do if you've got, if for example, there's some people that don't eat green leafy vegetables. They can't stand it because they're frightened of it, basically, or they've got allergies. How do they, maybe I'm preempting stuff.
Okay, let me think about that, and when we're doing the question and answer, and I'll come back to that. Thank you. So drink plenty of water. That actually helps with hot flushes, by the way. And then what about menopause and beyond, 50 to 60 years old? What needs to be achieved? Cessation of vaginal bleeding. If not, see a doctor. A lady that I know in her 70s started to develop vaginal bleeding, which is not normal because she went through the menopause. And it was found to be cancer. I know other ladies who have taken the vaccination during the pandemic, and now they have irregular bleeding in their senior years. All right? It's not normal to have vaginal bleeding when you are in the menopause and then you're beyond. It's not normal. Please check it out. Acceptance, non-productive phase of life and body changes. Balance between living fully and inevitably of death. That sounds drastic, doesn't it? But we're only going in one direction, right? So we either face it and go through it gracefully and continue to look after ourselves and our family. And if our husbands are still around, look after them. Grandchildren, great-grandchildren. It's wonderful. You can still live a very productive life. All right? But the way to do it gracefully is to accept it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm getting older. I have to accept that. I now need to embrace it. Do you know there are some cultures in this world? They don't go through a lot of what we go through in the Western world. Did you know that? The Japanese women, they embrace it. They say it's the dawn of a new life. They do. This says, I'm now entering a wonderful phase of life. Somebody says the Chinese. There are some ladies in cultures that embrace it. They know nothing about this estradiol, taking all these chemicals. They don't know about that. They just embrace it, all right? For them, it's not depressing. So the requirements, acceptance of changes, and living life in a new phase. Some women, as they get older, going through the menopause, they pick up a new hobby. They go more into ministry. They support their children, grandchildren. Some of them start studying again. They do so many other things to take the distraction away. All right, and nourishing foods, calcium-rich foods, once again, broccoli, legumes, iron-rich foods, all of those actually work. Vitamin C-rich foods, plenty of water, sunlight, exercise, very, very important. These are the tests that I was saying that ladies should actually go to the doctors and get tested. I also want you to test your vitamin D levels and your calcium levels. Very important. All right? So take a picture of that. Okay? We call it a hormonal panel. That's what we call it, a hormonal panel. Ask your doctor to take these tests. Ask them to test your vitamin D levels. Ask them to test your calcium levels. And this way you'll know what is happening. All right? And then you know that you need to bump up your resource. Dr. Jason, I'm on my last couple of slides now, so you can come in. All right, herbal approaches to treating the menopause. There are herbal approaches to treating the menopause. Magnesium. Magnesium. Very important. I think it's magnesium glytrate is one of the best. Magnesium glytrate. Magnesium is important for improving heart health, reducing blood pressure, decreasing risk of diabetes, combating osteoporosis, and particularly if you take magnesium citrate, easing constipation, all issues that increase with menopause. Can you see how many conditions that magnesium is good for? Yeah? So magnesium, okay? Magnesium glycinate specifically may also help with calming anxiety, easing joint pain, improving sleep and hot flashes, as well as cold flashes. Yes, there's something called cold flashes. The recommended dose for that is 350 milligrams, and that's magnesium. Vitamin A. Vitamin A, while vitamin A does not have any benefits proven to specifically target menopause symptoms, its role in supporting vision, immunity, and thyroid function may play an even greater role during menopause at a time when hormone changes add an additional stress to the body. So that's the vitamin A. And vitamin A, beta-carotene, you can get it from, I call it the orange type vegetables. Vitamins B6 and B12. Vitamin B6 may help ward off menopausal depression and increase energy by boosting serotonin. B vitamins may also help with insomnia and possibly even reduce hot flashes. They are also important for cognitive functions. All right, vitamins B6 and vitamin B12. There's something called a differential diagnosis, by the way. So you may be experiencing hot flashes, but that might be attributed to side effects of any medication you might be on. Or if you have type 2 diabetes, you can get hot flashes too. So differential diagnosis means that when a client comes to me, I have to know what medication they're on, if they're coming to talk about their menopausal symptoms, because sometimes their medication could be causing side effects that mimics more hormone menopausal symptoms. And vitamin K, it is important for bone density, which declines as you get older, increasing your risk of fractures. How many of our beautiful, beautiful elderly ladies in the world, in the church, fall, break their hip, and that's it? Life is over. Why? Because they have not supplemented the minerals that's needed to keep their bones dense. That is why it's so important. So many of our elderly ladies will have fractured hip, fractured shoulder. So we need to share with them the fact that they need to bump up their minerals. Many people, as they get older, which is a natural, a natural decline, is not wanting to eat. Many of our older folks don't eat as much as they ought to, which is part of growing old. They don't exercise as much. They don't drink as much water. So we have to be our sisters and our brothers' keeper and make sure they eat and get the supplementation, because many of them, they start to suffer from dementia. They start to suffer from dementia. They need the minerals. We all need the minerals. Don't think this is just for the older folks. from young people to my lovely young brothers here, to older people, please make sure you have your vitamins. Vitamin C heals wounds, maintains bones and cartilage, helps with the absorption of iron. It's an antioxidant that protects against aging-related conditions and diseases. Vitamin C is important for maintaining bone density, which protects you against fractures later in life. It may also help ease hot flashes, and its antioxidant effect may help ward off heart disease, which is more common after menopause. Have you noticed all the foods I'm putting up there, all the vitamins, you can get from your natural grains, seeds, legumes, fruits, vegetables, i.e. plant-based diet. Look at our brethren in California who are living into their hundreds. They are strictly on a plant-based diet. I'm seeing some serious faces out there, which is wonderful. Over to you, Jason, in a bit. Right, calcium. Calcium is essential to slow bone loss. This is what I was talking about. As you age, your bones become porous, a condition known as osteoporosis, and can weaken, making fractures more likely. So get your calcium. That's a picture of tofu there. You can get calcium from that. And also you can get some real good calcium from your dark leafy greens. And vitamin D. Let's try to get it as naturally as possible, but we're in a country where the sun hardly shines, but when it does, get out there and absorb some vitamin D. Vitamin D, necessary for keeping bones strong and to stave off osteoporosis, thinning of the bones, which can predispose you to fractures. It also helps to support brain function. Did you know that Did you know that we need the sun to shine on our head? Did you know that? It's excellent for the brain, vitamin D. Excellent for the brain. And it's excellent to decrease cognitive decline and fight off menopause depression. Why is that? Natural dopamine? Huh? Of course it does. All those wonderful happy hormones. That is exactly what exercise does as well. That's why I say exercise is important. Omega-3, risk of heart disease increases after menopause. Omega-3s may help keep triglyceride levels in check. They may also help with psychological issues, depression, and hot flashes. And in that screen, omega-3s, you've got flaxseed. Flaxseed is amazing. I should also say, with risk of heart disease, grapefruit, beautiful. Grapefruit, if you're not on high blood pressure medication, is excellent at cleaning your arteries. Lentils, excellent at cleaning your arteries. All right? Try and find foods that will help to clean your arteries, ladies and gentlemen. Garlic circulation, cayenne pepper circulation, all of those wonderful things. Keep your circulation going and eat the right foods. Probiotics. Who's a fan of sauerkraut? You don't like it? Oh my gosh. Maybe after your presentation, you're going to want to make it. Sauerkraut. Who's a fan of sauerkraut? Yes, I see a hand. Sauerkraut is amazing. Erin and I, we eat it a lot. I make sauerkraut. It's beautiful. It's a natural probiotic. It keeps your gut health beautiful, running wonderful. All right? If you have a stomachache, you just take a teaspoon of the water from the sauerkraut and you drink it. Excellent. Probiotics is important. Probiotics can help with digestive issues many women confront around this time. Bloating, gas, constipation, supports vaginal health. All right? Contributes to optimal bacteria of the gut. So get your probiotics. Yes, they've got it in supplementation, but if you can make your own probiotic, even better. And turmeric, which is part of the ginger family, along with protecting you against diseases that are more likely after menopause, turmeric's anti-inflammatory effect may also help with joint pain. And joint pain is one of those things. Some women, we suffer from tingling in the fingers. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Am I going to get a stroke? All those kind of things. And it's only because of mineral deficiency. Maybe your calcium levels are low. Maybe your vitamin D levels are low. And that's why sometimes you get tingling in your fingers. You wonder, where on earth did that come from? Tingling in your toes. They are just signs of mineral deficiency. Up your B vitamins, up your vitamin D levels, up your calcium levels. That's all you need to do. And so the key points: menopause is a natural process, and clients need to be supported through it, not treated. Improving health parameters more generally will improve symptoms. Menopause is experienced differently by each woman. Did you know some women, they don't even know they went through the menopause? They just say, so what did you go through? It's just like a breeze. I'm sad to say, but it's the truth. So some things that we may suggest to clients may not work for everybody. Everybody is different, all right? Much of the distress of perimenopause is associated with stigma or confusion. Remind your clients or patients that it is not the end of anything, and provide reassurance. And then involve the clients in the treatment processes, encourage a shift towards self-care modalities. And you can care for yourself when you're going through the menopause. Just follow, sorry, it's a cliche, but yes, the 8 laws of health. Eat clean is what they call it. Eat clean, exercise. If you're gaining weight, eat less, exercise more. If you are on medication, that's a different story. Because if I say to you, you can have ginkgo biloba to manage the menopause, if you are on high blood pressure medication, then you can't. You can't have ginkgo. If I say you can have more grapefruits for your breakfast in the morning, but if you're on high blood pressure tablets, you can't have grapefruit. So there are some things that you can't have. There is one herb I'm going to leave you with, and it's one that I absolutely love, and that is called Siberian ginseng. Has anybody heard of Siberian ginseng? Who's heard of it? Monica, what is it? Korea. Absolutely. Siberian ginseng is called Siberian ginseng because Russia, they were the one that researched ginseng the most. I think it was originally called Korean ginseng. Then they called it Siberian ginseng. They researched it for years. They realized the benefits of Siberian ginseng. So much so did they realize that it was one of the most powerful adaptogens known to man. They gave it to every single one of their athletes in the Olympics. Remember when Russia was way at the top all the time? Siberian ginseng is one of the best. Research Siberian ginseng, and I want you to tell me, not now, but I want you to tell me what you found about it. Heart, muscles, nerves. If you suffered a heart attack, it has a tendency to repair your heart. One of the best adaptogens known. I love it. I put it in my smoothies. Ashwagandha, excellent. But if you have thyroid issues, you could take less of it. But ashwagandha is more like an adaptogen as well, one of the nicest adaptogens. All right, ashwagandha, ginkgo, Siberian ginseng, Korean ginseng. So, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Jason now because he's going to do the male segment. And then we're going to take questions and answers, and then afterwards. All right, so all questions, please hold on, and then we'll answer in one session. And I hope that you got something out of this session. And I'm sorry? Handouts. Oh, the herbs. I do have some herbs. In fact, for the ladies, I'm going to be making a relaxing tea of lemon balm, motherwort, chamomile, red clover, and sage. All right? Those herbs are lovely for women. Lemon balm is excellent for the heart and for circulation. All right? So they've got it in the kitchen, and I'm going to make some tea, and you can all taste what it, you can taste it, and then it's up to you to, to source it and to make it yourselves. But we do need to make efforts to protect our heart. All right, so Dr. Jason, it's over to you. Thank you for listening. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. This is church. Not really.
Thank you, Dr. Cornwall, for your presentation on menopause. Yes, all right. I was hoping that we'll be projecting it onto the small screen as well, but here we go. So today we'll be talking about menopause as well as andropause. So andropause is equivalent to the male menopause, essentially. And there's some distinct differences with both of them. So with menopause, we know menopause starts at about age 50 51 rather, plus or minus 7 years. Now with andropause, it's a slightly different process. With menopause, there's a sudden drop in the estrogen production, whereas with andropause, it's a gradual loss of the production of testosterone over many years, starting at age 30. Now, is it real? Can I say a show of hands of all the men who have heard about menopause before? Or ladies as well? Right, that actually, it's very few people have heard about it, but here are the statistics. So in the United Kingdom, only about 49% of men have heard about the term male menopause, and 31% would feel very confident or fairly confident defining the term. And then look at that. 60% could not name any symptoms of male menopause. This is the reason why we've been pushing for all these programs so that we can learn more about our bodies, isn't it? No, look at that. If you ever thought that women know more about their bodies than men, that's the proof, right? So, comparable, the women, 95% of women have heard of the term menopause, whereas only 49% of men have heard about the equivalent. 84% of women feel comfortable defining the term menopause. 31% of men know about andropause. 92% of women know about the symptoms because they came to presentations like this, whereas only 60% of men. But we're going to change that now, right? All right, let's go. So, okay, so testosterone, it's a steroid hormone produced by our bodies, and testosterone is produced by both male and female. Okay, so the brain essentially is the master behind all hormone productions in the body. So it's produced by the pituitary gland, and so it sends out a signal to adrenals, and adrenal will produce some amount of testosterone in both male and female, and then the majority of the testosterone produced by the male body is from the testes, and then some or small amount is produced by the ovaries. And I must mention that in males, we produce testosterone about 20 times that which is produced by females, right? So both men and women do produce testosterone. All right, so it's very important for us. So as you can see, I'm not quite sure if I have the laser with this one, as you can see, testosterone production, it increases and decreases throughout different stages in our lives, and this is for a male. Now, as you can see during pregnancy, or when we're in our mommy's wombs, there's a surge in the testosterone production, and that's, of course, helps you to develop our testes and all the male body organs. And then, of course, there's a slight rise again in the neonatal period, which is from about 0 to 12 months. And then, of course, naturally, we expect it to rise again in puberty. And there about age 40, there's a gradual decline. And that's the gradual decline that we're going to talk about today. And that's what brings on the andropause symptoms. All right, so if we're supposed to ask about the primary role of testosterone, we will be able to name, like, for example, the production of male reproductive cells, as well as boosting energy and supporting bone density and enhance our libido. Most people would be able to talk about those four benefits of testosterone, but there are a lot more than just that. So here. So it's important for hair growth, collagen production, and of course, the development of our reproductive functions. Then, of course, there is muscle growth, increase in strength, and increased endurance. And it's important for our brain function as well. It improves mood, improves our confidence, memory function, and production of red blood cells, as well as the other immune cells, and maintaining our bone density. And of course, once there's a drop in testosterone production, you can see the reverse or the decline of all those processes. All right, so as we saw before in the previous chart, there is a gradual decrease in the production of testosterone. And so your testosterone is probably highest around age 25. And as you can see, by the time you hit, say, 35, you only have about 75% of the amount of testosterone that you've had when you were 25, and by the time you hit 50, it's probably about half that, right? And this is what's causing the symptoms. Now, so a quick comparison of menopause and andropause. And from the previous talk, you can more or less guess that we'll have some overlap in the symptoms. So, who knew that men had mood swings? I'm sure some people say that I have mood swings, but I'm at that age where probably I'm going through andropause, who knows? All right, so depression, headaches, night sweats. Yes, I get night sweats. Insomnia, weight gain, I've been gaining weight as well, and bone density loss, okay? So those are the overlapping symptoms. So men and women should be able to recognize these symptoms, at least in each other, and be supportive rather than just pointing them out. Just be supportive and understand that there is a process, a normal process taking place, and we can help each other through this, okay? Now, on the andropause side, of course, there is also decreased motivation, lack of focus, low energy, muscle loss, mild to moderate erectile dysfunction, and of course, a decrease in your muscle bulk. All right, so another quick comparison. It's a bit of a crowded slide, I apologize. But both occurs around age 50. But for men, as I mentioned before, the drop actually starts at age 30. And of course, you can see both reduces the fertility for both men and women. And of course, as mentioned before, there's a gradual drop in the amount of testosterone that's produced. And so when we're going through andropause, here are some of the symptoms. So physically, there's a decline in general well-being. The person becomes more physically exhausted. So there are issues with joint and muscle aches and pains. There's night sweats. There is less beard growth and less muscle strength. And of course, our neurocognitive functions start to change. So there's feeling of being burnt out, depressed, anxious, irritable, and the person generally feels weak, the need for more sleep, sleeping problems, brain fog, and of course, declining just about all the sexual functions such as libido, as well as decreased overall performance. And of course, as I mentioned before, andropause, just like menopause, would affect everyone, okay? So not in the sense that everyone will go through menopause and andropause, but there's a social effect affecting those individuals or the family members who are surrounded by the individuals going through these processes. So we all have to support them. All right, so As I mentioned before, this is from the NHS, and as you can see, it's more or less similar thing that I've mentioned before, talking about the mood swings, the loss of muscle mass, and the fat distribution, particularly around the tummy, as well as a loss of enthusiasm, energy, and sleeping problems, poor concentration. Okay, so personal or lifestyle issues. So, as I mentioned before, that there's a gradual decline in the testosterone production. However, even though that's a natural process, there are other issues that could actually impact that process, such as stress, depression, and anxiety can directly influence or directly decrease the amount of testosterone that our bodies are producing. As you can see, there are also physical causes of erectile dysfunction, such as smoking or heart problems, which may happen alongside any psychological cause. And psychological problems are typically brought on by work or relationship issues, money problems, or worrying about aging parents. So just about anything that builds up stress can decrease your testosterone levels. Okay? And for men, just continuing about the other causes, lack of sleep, poor diet, lack of exercise, drinking too much alcohol, smoking, as well as low self-esteem. All right. That was a lot of things to take in all at once. Now, can I ask, is your lifestyle killing your testosterone? That's a question that we should be all asking ourselves. All right, so if the answer to that question is yes, then, of course, in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, we promote well-being through improving our lifestyle, okay? So you might be thinking of a time for a new start. Just press the reset button and see how we can improve it. And by new start, what do I mean? The same 8 laws of health that was previously mentioned before: nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. All right. In Seventh-day Adventist Church, we promote a plant-based lifestyle, and we always promote the vegan lifestyle, which is superior to vegetarian, because we do know that vegans live longer and have lower incidence of chronic diseases. All right. So looking at the impact of nutrition, there are some herbs, spices, and specific meals or food that we can add to our diet or increase in our diet that will help to boost our testosterone levels. And of course, these would include Brazilian nuts, honey, onions, garlic, broccoli, spinach, and dry figs, and how do you pronounce that? Ashwa. Right, that word, and ginger. And Dr. Cornwell mentioned something about flaxseed helping women. Actually, flaxseed does the opposite for men. It actually decreases testosterone in men, right? So if your wife is preparing some flaxseed porridge, men, stay away from it. Yes. Right, right, right. Thank you so much. That's a very important point for us in terms of trying to find other substitutes for the flax seeds. So chia seeds is a good substitute for eggs. Thank you for that. All right. So there are other benefits, of course, of our plant-based diet. So lowers blood pressure, boosts your energy, as well as makes you look good, feel good, as well as it reduces your risk of heart disease, mental health problems, helps us to control our weight, as well as it's just a part of a natural diet. And of course, hopefully, our meals at home will look something like this. Yes. 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 Right. But thank you for that point, though, because I mean, I wish I was actually following what you're saying because I've been gaining weight for some reason. I just need to probably adjust my diet as well. Right. So this is what you want your diet to look like, right? So we have a bit of quinoa. There's, is that, what kind of seed is that? chickpeas, tomatoes, that's probably sweet potatoes, right? So this is a sort of variety in terms of colors as well as different food groups that we like to see. And of course, we have the grains and nuts, and this is a quite mix, right? This is a good mix for day-to-day meals. And here are the foods that actually would reduce or significantly reduce our ability to produce testosterone: alcohol, sugars, the processed foods, and the vegetable oil. Especially many of us who are from Afro-Caribbean origin, we like to fish. We all know about the great English breakfast, the deep fried eggs, and all those things, right? So let's remember that as much as these things taste good, they might not necessarily be doing good things for us. Of course, and it's typical. Pardon? Right, right. That's a very useful tip because I didn't know that, and I like eggs. I'll make that adjustment. Thank you. Well, I don't like the taste of boiled eggs, but I think I'm going to try the parchment paper. So, all right. So, this is this the type of diet that we're aiming for in the Seventh-day Adventist Church? No, definitely not. This is highly processed, right? So there are crisps and there are nachos and donuts. There's just sugar, fats, alcohol, and salt. That's all we're looking at, right? So we try to stay far away from this sort of diet. And men, this is a diet that will kill your testosterone levels. All right. So here's a nice book about that. I wish we could go through as part of this series, and lots of useful tips. Dr. Cornwell agrees with me. So that Counsels on Diets and Foods, for those of you who never read it before, you can easily download it from the EGW app. It's free of cost. All right, so next, so we said New Start, NEW. So we're at E now, exercise. Exercise is extremely important, right? How much exercise do we need? The World Health Organization suggests that we should get about 30 minutes of exercise per day for at least 5 days per week. And of course, that was a recommendation made to help us to reduce our blood pressures. However, I still think that it has more benefits than just lowering the blood pressure, right? So we see here, exercise to increase testosterone, sprinting, lifting heavy weights if your bones can tolerate it, and using your legs as much as you can, and doing forced rep workouts. All right, so do we look like this on a daily basis when we're going to the gym? No, not yet. All right, so the benefits of exercise for men: lowers our risk of diabetes, decrease our chance of developing depression and anxiety, improved testosterone levels as you age, lower risk of colon cancer, lowers the risk of erectile dysfunction, stronger bones, healthier blood vessels, and of course, we live longer. So who knows who this is? This person has been in the news all of this week. Who is this? This is our FK Jr., the very, very controversial Secretary for Health and Social Care in the United States. But as much as he's controversial, he's actually an anti-vaxxer, which is why he's so famous among some subgroups. And I think there are people, especially in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, who would agree with some of his views. But guess what? He's doing something right for his health, isn't he? I mean, this guy is 71. I wish I could look that good at my age of 35. And yeah, that's that. I mean, does anyone here look like that yet? You look like that. I mean, look at what he's doing. I mean, I wish I'm able to do some of these things, but this is the aim, right? So looking at him, back to the presentation, has good muscle mass, right? And is clearly exercising every day. He's probably eating right as well. And this guy is big on everything that's health. Hence the reason why he was included in the United States cabinet. And he's clearly doing well, right? So this is the point that we need to get to in terms of taking care of ourselves at 71 years old. All right, so more about exercise and testosterone. All right, so water. So we know all the healthy benefits of water, but can we say that we're all drinking 8 glasses of water per day? No, show of hands. It's hard, isn't it? But I mean, it really takes effort, and I think we will see the benefits here. So we drink water to replace the water that we're losing every day and to increase our brain power and concentration, helps to beat tiredness, it can help with weight loss, flushes the system of toxins, improves our complexion, as well it helps to prevent headaches, gives us fresh breath, and it improves our mood. All right, so do we think we can manage to drink that much water per day? That's probably about the 8 glasses, is it, Dr. Cornwall? Yeah, we can, but we probably need to start by having a container that's probably 2 liters, and I think we'll be able to hit the 8 glasses per day like this guy is doing. Yes, please. Half hour before breakfast, yes. 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 Right. 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 Yes. Well, I, I agree with you. Uh, but thank you so much. I agree with you, and a lot of what you've said is actually mentioned in the spirit of prophecy, actually. All right, so we need lots of sunshine, and Dr. Cornwall already went through the benefits of sunshine. And next, so it's New Start, NEWST, right? So temperance, now we know what temperance is, doing everything in moderation. And here's a bit from Mrs. White about temperance. She said, in How to Live, page 57, in order to preserve health, temperance in all things is necessary. Temperance in labor, temperance in eating and drinking. So true temperance teaches us to dispense entirely with everything hurtful and to use judiciously that which is healthful. All right, so I think we probably should think about this whenever we eat. Try not to overeat. Try not to, whenever we're at work, try not to take on too much. Give ourselves lots of breaks, and remember that our body is not a machine. We're a person, a human being, and we can get drained, right? So temperance and everything is important. And of course, when you're too stressed, you're probably not exercising enough temperance. And stress, of course, as I mentioned before, can reduce your testosterone levels. And open air, which was already discussed by Dr. Cornwall, and then resting. Can I ask how many people can say that they truly receive 8 hours of sleep every single night? I can't raise my hand. Someone said 7. Do you get 7? 8? 8? Anyone else? 8? Familiar to me. Anyone else? 7. All right, so I can't get as much as I try. And I've spoken about it before, but let's see. All right, so lack of sleep for just one night can reduce testosterone levels by up to 15%. Imagine that. All right, I didn't know that. I mean, I work night shifts, and I don't know how to get out of it. I probably need to resign my job, but it's important. I mean, hospitals are 24-hour institutions. Yeah, so. All right, so importance of rest. Here's what Mrs. White said again. Says, I know that from the testimonies given to me from time to time for brain workers that sleep is worth far more before than after midnight. Remember this one. This is something that we always talk about in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So 2 hours of good sleep before 12 is worth more than 4 hours after 12, right? So that early bit of the night, please go to bed. It's actually quite significant in terms of taking care of yourself. And the number of hours of sleep generally needed varies with circumstances. For example, children need probably about 10 hours of sleep per night, believe it or not. So the average is 7 to 9. In general, one should sleep when sleepy and not try to sleep more. So growing children require more sleep than grown-ups. All right, so look at this. And I include this because some people in the church, they're more numbers-oriented. They like statistics, they like graphs, and that's just the way their brain works. So look at the amount of sleep that this person, for example, if you sleep 4.5 hours, look at how low your testosterone level is. compared to if you were getting 8 hours. It's almost more than double, isn't it? So if you want your testosterone levels to be high enough or remain within a normal range, sleep is important, right? As much as we like to overwork ourselves, we're studying, we're trying to get a promotion at work, we're trying to impress our bosses. At the end of the day, we're not impressing our own health. We need to do better. All right, so back to the herbs, right? Some of these herbs were mentioned before. So I take valerian to help me sleep, and I've never taken passion flower. Anyone has ever tried passion flower before? Does it work? Yeah, Lynette said yes. So lemon balm, lavender, and of course the lavender, you don't have to consume the lavender. You can just put it on your pillows, and it has a soothing effect. And the peppermint, there's chamomile. I remember Kathleen suggested chamomile to me sometime before, which I used and which it worked very well. Linden flower and catnip. I didn't know that catnip could be consumed by humans. Has anyone ever used it before? Is it? Which of them is the best one? Which of these herbs would you recommend? The valerian, yeah. The herbal sedative. All right, so let me share the mic.
Yeah, the valerian powder, we call in the herbal world it's the herbal sedative. So only if you really, really need to have it, you take it, because that is quite potent. And then the catnip, yes, I think they call it that name because it's good for cats to sleep. But children, you can give catnip to children as well. Humans can take catnip in small doses. That is very good. And lemon balm, as well as promoting sleep, it's good for your cardiovascular health.
Okay, and we just need to mention the bit whereby you discuss with your healthcare professionals before you start using herbal remedies, because it's quite possible that some of these herbal remedies can interact with your medication, okay? All right, don't be like this person, falling asleep at the back of an ambulance after dropping off a patient. Right, so this is how bad it gets in healthcare. That's me. Yeah, don't be like me. Actually get an actual good night's rest. All right, so new start. So back to the second T in start. So trust. So gratitude, rejoicing, benevolence, trusting God's love and care. These are health's greatest safeguard, right? And this is taken from My Life Today, page 151 by Mrs. White. And then science has proven now that people who trust in God and have faith come through illnesses and surgeries better than those who do not trust in God. And we all know that already. All right, and of course, part of trusting God, you need to know the Word of God. And of course, the health message actually comes from the Bible, believe it or not. And here's a nice book that I would recommend to everyone. I've been pushing this book for years. The Ministry of Healing, it teaches us the spiritual aspect of health and taking care of ourselves. And if you've ever read it, it's a book that you probably should share with anyone if you're going to be doing some health ministry. All right, so a quick review of New Start: nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, as well as trusting God. And of course, that will be part of a holistic approach to both menopause as well as andropause. Now, I was supposed to take questions here, but we will be separating shortly so that we can have discrete discussions. And at that point, once we're separating, there won't be any further streaming online. I will be apologizing to those online. It's not right now. It's coming up in about 3 or 4 slides, okay? Because I know that lots of people have burning questions that they would like to ask about me and Dr. Cornwall, and just to discuss generally that we wouldn't necessarily want to discuss openly. All right, so so anyone who wants to know more about Andropause, this is a website from Lloyd's Pharmacy. They've done a really, really nice overview of how low testosterone can impact a man's health. And you can take a quick photograph of that. You can Google it, Lloyd's Pharmacy, and it was really comprehensive, and it wasn't too long, which is the most important bit. All right, moving along, NHS. So I've spoken about the ways in which we can improve our overall health and testosterone levels by adjusting our lifestyle. But of course, how do you know if your testosterone is low? So coming up in the in the after segment, I have a quick questionnaire to help the men to decide whether or not they're experiencing symptoms severe enough that they might need attention from their GP. All right, so if you think based on the symptoms that I've discussed earlier, you might want to book an appointment with your GP, have that discussion. All right. Now, it will naturally involve testing your testosterone levels, and of course, Dr. Cornwell mentioned the need for the women, to ladies to do additional tests as well as part of their comprehensive review of their menopause. Now, as I mentioned before, most men didn't know much about andropause or menopause, but here are some of the main reasons why some men would actually go on to test their testosterone levels. So, low sex drive, which is probably the number one reason why any male would actually go and sort that out like an emergency. Low loss of attraction towards your partner. I mean, that would be a big problem. Erectile dysfunction, another problem. Low energy levels, low sperm count, especially if you're trying to start a family. And this would naturally be a part of the test for couples going through IVF or in vitro fertilization. And of course, some people are actually experiencing fatigue, depressed mood, headaches, and shrinking testicles. I'm not sure how you tell that your testicles are shrinking, but also increase in body fat, right? So if you're experiencing any of these, you probably want to have that discussion with your GP. What happens though when we actually go to the GP? So your GP may order a blood test off your testosterone, and we mentioned that the ladies need to know their estrogen levels and how much it is. And for men, the free testosterone level should be between 8 and 30. So keep that number in your head, 8 to 30, which means you need to know what your testosterone level is, right? So if the results suggest you have a testosterone deficiency, you may be referred to an endocrinologist, which is a hormone doctor, a specialist in hormone problems. If the specialist confirms the diagnosis, you may be offered testosterone replacement to correct the hormone deficiencies, which should relieve your symptoms. And remember that only about 10 to 15% of men in the UK would actually be required to do the test as well as to get some testosterone support or replacement. But we don't know who the 10 to 15% of men are, right? Hence the reason why we need to go to speak to our GPs. And this is where we come to an end for the online segment, and we will be separated into two groups. Dr. Cornwall will be with the ladies in the church hall, and the gentlemen will remain behind. And probably about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes of further discussions. And then we will return, whereby we will have the closing segment. Okay? Is that fine?